everybody for the motivating introduction of Dr. Hamid. It's a pleasure to be here today to present and talk about the specialty that I do care a lot about. It's the management and how do we run and evaluate the campaign or promotion campaign that I've been talking about. It is how to develop a communication campaign. So my objective of the presentation is an introduction about the communication campaign, the rationale and effectiveness of the comprehensive communication campaigns, and the 12 steps design on how to run and create a campaign that communicates and reach the most effective way in dealing with other people that get involved within the practical setting of developing and behavioral change, or influencing others to get involved in designing such behavioral change. So, what is a comprehensive communication campaign? It is a goal-oriented attempt to inform, persuade, or motivate behavioral change. Okay, it's ideally aimed at individuals. We have network, we have organization, and we have social levels. So there are first different levels of communication that we need to deal with to provide the information or communicate the information. And it's aimed at trying to trigger a relatively large amount of people who get influenced by the impact or by the issue that's been raised to be promoted. It's time. So there's a start and there's an end for it, which range maybe for a few weeks, okay, days, or maybe take years to be implemented and to be encouraged to have the action of behavioral change. And it's most effective when it's include combination of media, interpersonal changes, and community events. It involves organizations such as communication activities, and it involves the production and the delivery of the message of the promoted idea or the provided action that we need to take to change certain type of behaviors among the community or practitioners or professionals. So what are the approaches of the communication? There are three types of communication. We have the media, we have the interpersonal communication, and we have a combination between the media and interpersonal communication. We call it like an event or events management. Why it's important? Okay, we're having issues in communicating our information. So what is the rationale of having a communication or comprehensive communication campaign? It is important to describe the relation between the health professions, okay, to know the key promoters of the idea within the community, within the social, or within the society, okay? It's been discovered that when communication, community organized are together used with the media, it strengthens the promoted idea and it develops a lot of the impact of the idea that we're talking about. So, for example, to clarify those definitions, because I'll be using them interchangeably within the presentation, we have the media. The media is including the mass media, it's including the interpersonal change information like communication, talking, visits, and we have the general media, that we have the social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and we have other type of like the mass media, newspaper, telephone, emails, every type of the media that is used is called media communication vehicles. The community or organization community or community organization is the values of the organization, the ideas they are having, the beliefs they are thinking of, and the attitudes they are reforming within their organization. So when we're trying to promote an idea, we need to know exactly those two components, how do they correlate and how we get the best benefit of correlation of those things. So media and community organization, those the terms that I'll be using to reflect on behaviors or to reflect on the vehicles that or the communication channels that are going to be used. So in designing any communication campaign, we have several steps. And according to the Canadian guidelines, they are included into 12 steps. And those steps are divided in 5 or 6 phases, starting with the preparing or pre-planning, then we have the actual planning phase, and then we have the production, then we have the implementation, then we have the evaluation of the finish. So in each phase, there are certain steps to be, I'll be talking extensively about them, and how do we design them, or how do we use them and get the most benefit. So starting with the first step, okay, in every step, okay, there are 5 components that we need to take care of. We need to keep them in mind. Those components are time, we need to know the resources, we need to have the information, we need to know who's being affected by or being interacted within the campaign, and we need to know the project plan or the type of decisions that we need to be taken. Okay, for example, when we're talking about the time, okay, in every single step in our planning, we need to know when it's exactly started and when we're going to be ended. And because time is important, and as all the people saying, time is money, so we need to be careful on planning the timing, because any waste or any delay within our timing will cost us a lot. People will miss it, delay it, or there's an interruption from the outsiders, so the time is critical in developing the strategy. And then we have the resources and the money. We need to know exactly the amount of resources that we exposed or being spent in every item or in every step. We need to know our funders. We need to know our suppliers who will give us those type of resources. Resources is not only money. Resources includes the power of accessibility. Okay, we need to know who to attract and who to contact to get the information. And also, we need to know who's going to fund us and what is the intention before or behind the funding. And then we have the data gathering. As all we know that knowledge is power, so we need to know exactly the information, what is the current situation, what we're looking for, and what we're trying to change, who's we are triggering, who's we're dealing with, and who's being affected by. So in every single step, we need to know the exact data that's required, or the exact information that we need to influence and affect our promotion or communication campaign. And now, the participation, or the stakeholder, or in other terms, the influencers, the audiences, it's all coming under the participation. And the planning phase, we need to think of who's going to be affected by, or who's going to be influenced by, and who's having the impact, okay, in our campaign. So we need to analyze. And in analyzing the participations, okay, there are several studies that they have divided the people who's going to be involved in as people with the power and interest in what you're doing. And there's another division that people having the interest, okay, but they don't have the power. Sometimes people have the power, but they're not interested. Okay, and sometimes there are type of people who's involved in the society who have an interest and no power. So when we try to plan our community campaign or the communication campaign, we need to stress on the people who have the power and have the interest in what we're saying. Because when we're trying to see people who have the power and interest, they will emphasize on the information or the type of message that we're trying to deliver. But when we're trying to see the power and interest, we need to be careful, because the interest sometimes is positive, sometimes negative. For our example in the waste management, okay, our interest who has the power and have the positive interest is like having the university, correlated with the spreading the awareness information. But when you're looking for the negative interest, okay, all the people who are trying to invest within Kuwait, who's trying to put, as we heard from the last 2 days, that there's companies that trigger Kuwait because it's just like there's no rules, there's no guidelines, so we can invest a lot. So we need to keep it, and we need to keep the circumstances and the things are going right now as it is. So they are influencing the promotion or the target of the communication campaign negatively. So those people, we need to keep focus on them, okay, to try to minimize their influences within our campaign, and also to emphasize and encourage other people who have interest but not having the power. Okay, like for example, people from the environmental activists, they were so interested, but they have the minimum power to influence the policy making or make pressure on the politicians to make the policy or to make the guidelines to provide all the waste management. So those people, we need to keep them on our side and provide all the facilities they need okay, to encourage our performance and encourage the influence of other people that don't have interest or that have the power. So we are increasing the number of participants within our campaign. And then we have the project line or the decision making. Okay, in every step we need to make sure that the decision is incorrect by the correct people, by the correct timing, and by the use of the perfect use of the resources available for us. So in every single step, I'll be talking about those components, okay, reflected within the levels of the dealing with people. Okay, after setting all the plan and see what our current situation is, what type of information, what type of time, what type of communication we need, what type of people we're dealing with, okay, we have to put that written down, all of everything. Okay, we need to sit and revisit what we had said. Okay, we need to see the goal of the project, see it, is it perfectly fitting with our information that we need to provide? Is it really affecting the type of audiences we are triggering? Okay, the key aspects that need to be looked for and increase the attention for. Okay, and we have to revisit and re-see if the objectives are really applied to what we're trying to plan and what is the correct information that we're providing to the segment or the type of audiences we're trying to trigger. So, and this step, okay, is very important in the pre-planning because in every project, okay, the most time taking is within the pre-planning. 50% of the project or the project planning is stick within the time of the preparing, okay, pre-preparing before starting any campaign. We need to set, revise with the objective, revise them with the objective, connect them or communicate them with the audiences that being triggered or segmented, okay, audiences and stakeholders who have interests, who have the power, who will fight to the resources, and every time we need to reevaluate, okay, before starting. So we had first, with everything that was the situation, we had skimmed the diagram and you see our location, our available resources. And the second step, we try to look and revise what we had developed at the beginning. So after that, we're having the audience's analysis and segmentation. When we're trying to trigger people, we need to know certain information. We need to know their demographics, we need to know their behavioral characteristic, and we need to know their psychographic characteristic. What are these? Okay, for a demographic, all of us know that demographic is about the gender, age, nationalities, occupation, socio-economic status. And for the behavioral characteristic, and which is the most important point, okay, that we're addressing in behavioral change, is the behavioral characteristic. What do people think or believe? Okay, how do they their attitude at the work setting? Okay, how do they practice their work? Okay, what are causing the negative impact within the community? Or what's the result of our harm or the less benefits from what we're trying to raise and to diminish? So the behavioral characteristic is very important to address within any segmenting of the audiences. Okay, and then we go for the psychographic characteristic. Those characteristics are linked to the attitude, with the beliefs, and the values of the person. Because when trying to trigger someone, we need to emphasize on how does those people think or believe. Okay, when you said that environment is very important. Okay, and there is peace. Okay, nobody is raising any impact. But when you said the environment safety will affect your children, okay? So children is a very valuable thing for people. So they start and think, oh yeah, there's something related to me and something I believe that I need to protect my children. So I start to be affected by their belief. Now I had attracted their attention. So in such studies and every analytic of the best use or the best segment of the analysis of the people or how to trigger people, all the studies had emphasized on the psychographic characteristic of the people. So whenever we're designing a behavioral change, we need to know exactly how they behave within the atmosphere they are working in and the way they are communicating with others. And at the same time, we need to know the exact beliefs and the behaviors and the values that are related to the people that you're trying to segment and trying to influence. of the audience analysis, we need to analyze our communication resources. Okay, the communication resources is divided in 3 levels. We have the individual level, we have the network level, we have the organizational level, and we have the society level. Okay, when we're trying to communicate those levels, okay, to be more clear, when you're talking about the individual level, you need to deal with individuals. Okay, you look for their beliefs, their behaviors, what they think. But when we go for a further level of the communication, we have the interpersonal communication, or the organizational or the networking. This type of communication is like 1 to person, or within a certain setting of a practice. Like for example, we're talking about pharmacy. We have the pharmacist. The pharmacist is working within a pharmacy, and the pharmacy is the networking level, where all the people are having the same interest or practicing the same thing. Okay, they have the way of their communication that nobody others can understand their way of communication. And this pharmacy is located within a hospital, and this hospital has its own structures and rule and policies. Okay, and when we go for further and bigger ideas or a bigger view of the hospitals, we have several hospitals that are located in different areas of Kuwait. So we have society. So when we're trying to communicate, we need to allocate the type of resources and the communication that's needed according to those levels. Okay, so when we're dealing with the interpersonal, okay, we're going to have the direct communication, the direct talk, but we're trying to have a wider range of people, so we need something that can reach more information and spread it more faster. So we go for the media. The media include emails, newspapers, letters, and if we're trying to promote visibility for that talk, okay, we're going to trigger a wider range of media, that's radios, television, newspapers, okay? And we're trying to attract the attention of the people, of decision makers within the country, we go for the society. And who's involved in the society is having the media involved. So we're trying the attention of the policy making within the country. So we go for the radios, we go for the televisions, for interviews, and for disclosure. And sometimes they go for the events or the what they talk prostitutions, that they're stopping work, just to attract the attention of policymakers. Those are type of communication, which is called event communication, that is really needed to be aware and think of how can we use it probably within our plan. So we had the wider view, then we have the specification of what type of information is going to be used according to what's had really planned, and then we had segments or audiences, and now we're seeing the type of vehicles and communication resources that we have, like media and interpersonal communication. As I said, we have the formal and information that is needed, like presentations, training, and informal networking and clinical setting. This all the type of information is required when we're dealing with individual and networking. And the type of other information is the events, where we are having a larger scale that sometimes when you're trying to increase your visibility of the idea, you make events, like for walking conferences, having a gathering, having dinners, having social activities. So return attention and make the visibility of the idea. Okay, now we had shifted from the pre-planning to the real planning. Okay, now we're trying to figure what we're having and what type of information and the best utility of the information and resources we're having. And now we're trying to put it together to make sense and to make a real step and start to plan what's need to be go ahead. Okay, so in the step 5 of the communication planning, we need to set goal and objectives. These communication objectives are divided within the communications and the health promotion program goals and objectives. And this communication objective, as I said, when we're trying to plan, we know the resources and we know who's trying to trigger. We need to divide the objective according to the level of the communication. So now we're not thinking about the time, we're not thinking about resources. It's only thinking of what's the type of information that we delivered according to the segmentation of the levels of communication. So when you're trying to have the objective according to the individuals, so what we're having here is like having a pharmacist practicing wrongly and dispose waste in the wrong way. So what's the objective to have, okay, to fix these activities or this attitude? So we need to think about the individual as individual according to his practical setting and what he is facing. So in the communication objectives, we need to set in every level at least 2 objectives. So in the level of individual, we're looking for education, we're looking for learning, okay? We're trying to increase the number of information and the knowledge of a person. So what we're trying here as an objective is trying to provide an information how to deal with the waste. Okay, this is for the individual. The second thing is trying to help. Okay, and now to think of the how to implement such type of change. So we go for the networking level. Networking level is increasing affecting the decision makers or the people who have the point of view that can affect the others, and having the communications that is promoting the idea. And now we're going to the organization level, the objective, that when other people are practicing within the organization, there is policies that people follow. So we need to change these policies, okay? And to put the objective that fits with the organization policies. And when you move to the social and society, we have the law, the legislation of the community. So we need to put objective that fits within this type of level. Okay, after putting all this information together, we need to plan the channels and the vehicles of communication. So we're trying to talking about the individual, networking, and organization. We need to use the perfect type of channel and communication. After planning all this, we need now the time to combine, because I said we don't need to care about time and we don't care about the vehicles. So we set the objective within the type of levels, then we combine it with the correct vehicles, and now we need to put a schedule of how do we design it. So we need to, the first time, the starting and the ending point of this process, and then this promotion of the idea. And after all, we need to develop a message, and this message should be having the elements, the what, the so what, and now what, okay? So what is what the ideas or what type of information we're trying to provide. So what is the information that need to be carried, okay, to affect the people's attitude and the benefit of them. And now what is what type of action that we're trying to take. Okay, in developing and creating a strategy, we need to define, to set a definition so people know who you are, and we need to distinguish it from what's available within the society, and we need to synergize and put the information that is needed to be carried out with other people, and we augment other people's abilities and other people's hard working in the same field. Okay, and development materials, we should keep in mind the organizational or group issue statement, product name, the production, giving the campaign a logo, giving it an identity, and then we're trying to figure all that in the printouts or products that reflect us. The development of the product, okay, we need to keep in mind the identity of the project. So we give it a logo, we give it a name, so distinguish it from the others. And now, after preparing all of this step and studying what is the current situation, we need to implement. Okay, implementation is just putting things. Implementation is just putting things together, having the products, having the timeline, and having the type of interaction that is needed. So when we're trying to implement a campaign, we need to specify the number of copies that we need of the pamphlets or the newspapers or the items that we're producing to enhance our promotion idea. And also we have the levels that we're dealing for the individuals, organization, and the total cost that may affect us. So we need to implement it and to see the exact implementation process, how it's working, and reassess the implementation itself. So when we assess and we try to introduce this promotion campaign, okay, the end step is evaluation. Okay, after implementing all the information, we need to gather information, how it goes, what was effective, and the measure of the effectiveness of this campaign. Okay, and what type of impact it had on the individual level, the society, the networking, and the organization. And then we need to put the method of correcting the mistakes that we had fallen in and that delayed the effect and the interaction, and it has the misleading concept within the promotion campaign. So this is all about my presentation and the step of creating a health campaign.
Thank you very much.